Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make a macrame plant holder. I'm using a glass jar. This is actually a baby food jar, but you can use those Oui by Yoplait yogurt cups if you have those, or any container that can hang, a little bowl, anything like that will work. I have some brown twine here, some river rocks. You can use any rocks from outside, doesn't have to be like special. And I have some little succulents here that we're going to use. So the first step in the macrame is getting 4 strings, and you can kind of eyeball, how long your planter will be. Obviously the knots will take up some more space, and it's always good to have a little bit of extra. So I'm going to cut mine, just eyeballing it. So we have 1. Okay, once you have your 4 strings, you're going to fold them in half and kind of find your handle here and make a loop. There you go, get nice and tight there. And I don't want it to dangle too much, but I'm going to kind of gauge how long, since my jar is a little bit taller, I might have it hang a little bit longer than if you had, say, a flatter bowl. Kind of eyeball it, and then I'm going to separate out 2 strands, 2 strands, 2 strands. Okay, and then from here I'm going to tie a knot about how far the top of my jar is, right about here. And this is where it's a little bit more important to make sure all your knots end up at the same length. You want everything to hang nice and evenly. Apart. 2. Kind of just. Once all your 4 knots are done, you're going to tie the adjacent strings. So I'm laying all my knots out flat. Try to see. And right where the strings from the knots are next to each other, I'm going to tie those together to kind of form a new connection right here where my pointer finger is. I'm going to try to tilt my phone down so you'll be able to see as I tie. So I've separated my 2 knots here, and then I'm going to take 1 strand from each and tie them together. Pull them nice and tight, make sure it's even. Then I'm going to separate these out so you can kind of see. And then I'm going to take my next knot and tie this strand to this string. So you can kind of see we have our V's or triangles, I'm not sure what you want to call them. I'm going to make sure I have an even length here. Give it a tie. And then we'll do you can kind of see the netting taking place. We just have 2 more knots here to go. Now that all your knots are tied, you have 1 final knot to make, and that is the one on the very bottom that will secure the very underneath your container. So you can kind of place your strings around. You want to separate out the sections so it kind of sits in there. So So I'm just kind of trying to use the tension of my hand around my container to make sure I can get everything even. Put in here. Items in there. Okay. Looking good. You can kind of pull down, try it. Kind of got it to the point of where I'm going to do my final knot, so I'm actually going to slip my jar out. Don't want to drop it or break it. And just give it one nice tight knot here. Pull it nice and snug. Okay. So before I put this back in, snip my ends here. Okay, so now I have my little macrame holder. I'm gonna do a combination of the stones, and I have a succulent, so it'll be stone on the bottom of my jar, then some dirt in the succulent. If you have an air plant, if you have a fake succulent, anything like that will work. So hopefully he'll be happy in there. Dark to see. Pull it out of the way. And then I'll put my little planter in its new home. Voila!